I am one of the community people who grew up side by side with my Muslim neighbors. I grew up in Astrakhan in the southern Russia, where I woke up with muezzins in our streets. I grew up with a lot of Tatars and Kazakh neighbors and friends. And for me, it was natural to grow up in a very small Jewish community in a city that was predominantly Russian, but the second largest population were Muslims, and the area was, of course, shaped by the Muslim heritage there. So when the discussion about building a mosque in Cologne some decades later started in Germany, I think this was around 2008, 2010, and there was this strong resistance against building a mosque by DİTİB, a Turkish organization, which at that moment was quite, quite peaceful and open-minded, because it was also connected to a little bit different government of Turkey with a little bit different spin. I was not only surprised, but I felt that we as a Jewish community should stand firmly on the side of our Muslim friends, because praying, having community houses, having a place to go and to talk to God or to each other is something that is only natural. And we as a Jewish community that had been persecuted but always returned back to our temples and to our synagogues know very well how important it is to have a temple and a synagogue where you can return to and to find someone there who is still alive. And this is the experience, the historical experience that not only brings us together, but also informs our political and our societal position. This is something that when I talk to some of my Muslim friends who are subjected to animosity and stereotyping and discrimination in everyday life, also in Europe, especially in some countries in Europe, I think this is an experience that brings us together and reminds us that it is not just about our own particular experience. It is about an experience of a minority or a majority that is subjected to a lot of pain and to a lot of suffering. And that's why looking for allies. And this is, and that's how I understand it, our safe space for talking to each other as allies. And that means talking about our own pain and about our own trauma, talking about things that maybe offend the other side, talking openly about some conflicts or some tensions that our communities have, because if we don't talk openly about these things, we will not be able to advance. And we do have grievances which we ascribed to the other side, speaking in bilateral terms, in terms of this conference. But I think having a safe space, a space where we trust each other, is something very important. And that's why this conference is so important. And that's why the work that the European Commission is doing with both experts on anti-Muslim hatred and anti-Semitism is so important. And it is also important to remember that it is not just about Jews and anti-Semitism, and it is not just about Muslims and anti-Muslim hatred. It's also about racism. It's also about antigypsyism, something that on this continent so easily forgotten. How many memorials, how many commemoration sites, how many commemoration hours do we spend thinking about the fate of Sinti and Roma in Europe? I have a friend who used to be a member of our group, who is Sinto, and I am concerned that once he was not voted into the parliament anymore, this topic disappeared from the agenda of the parliament. So it is also our common obligation, our joint obligation, also our obligation of Jews and Muslims together to think about other minorities. And this could be Kurds, and this could be Yazidis, and this could be Christian Palestinians, something that people do not have on the radar, but we can remind to those people that there are other minorities that are being oppressed and are invisible in the minds of so many. So let us be the collective reminders to the countries and societies where we live of the oppression and suffering of others, not just our own.